Here's my review for Star Wars. Han shot first. End of story. Good night. Hey YouTube, how's it going? I'm Ty McDougal and welcome to my channel, and I'm sure I'm not the only one to ever say this, but this was my childhood. How many times did I watch this movie growing up? Or be playing with the action figures, or be off in my own little Star Wars world using my overly active imagination? I've lost count. Oh, Star Wars. You were my escape. By now we've all come to know this movie by its full title of Episode 4, A New Hope. But for many of us, it was simply known as Star Wars for a number of years. In 1977, Star Wars was the brainchild of a young, aspiring director named George Lucas. A man who loved classic fantasy adventures, war stories, Kurosawa films, and old Flash Gordon serials. Star Wars was a tribute to all the stories he loved. Despite a number of setbacks, obstacles, and constraints during production, George pressed on, and the result was a sci-fi fantasy film that won 6 Academy Awards in 1978. Yeah, not to mention the truckload of money at the box office. To this day, Star Wars is still considered one of the greatest films of all time, and one that has stirred the imagination of millions for the past 4 decades. Yeah, I was about a year old and still in diapers when this movie came out, so no, I didn't see this movie in the theaters until 1997. That was the year Lucasfilm released the 20th anniversary remastered version of the Star Wars trilogy. All I ever saw of Star Wars as a kid was what we had on VHS, so for me to see the originals up on the big screen was a thrill. And actually it was a 2-for-1 deal that night. My stepdad and I had just left the one atrium after watching Star Wars, and amidst a huge crowd of fans all there to see the classics, we saw the door to Empire Strikes Back like an open invitation. So, we snuck in. We didn't get caught, but it was worth the risk, folks. It was worth the risk. Since then, the Star Wars trilogy has been reproduced and re-released on DVD and Blu-ray several times over the past 20 years. In fact, I was fortunate enough to acquire this particular DVD set, and each episode has 2 discs. One contains the redone special edition that ties in with the prequels, and the other contains the unaltered original theatrical release. Now, which of these versions do you think I watched the most? Oh yeah, old school. No matter how old you are, no matter how many times you've seen this movie, it never gets old. Seeing Darth Vader step onto the screen for the first time, or using the Force choke, never gets old. Hearing Obi-Wan Kenobi talk about the Jedi and the ways of the Force never gets old. Seeing Luke Skywalker take hold of his father's lightsaber for the first time never gets old. Seeing Han Solo and his Wookiee co-pilot for the first time in the cantina, or seeing the strong-willed and beautiful Princess Leia take no shit never gets old. All the creatures, aliens, wonders and dangers, and even R2 and 3PO never gets old. I mean, what's not to love about this film or these characters? As a kid, Darth Vader was the stuff of nightmares, and you felt that evil presence. Obi-Wan Kenobi was the kind and wise mentor, and you just wanted to hear more of his stories and teachings. Luke Skywalker was the young adventurer like most kids in the audience, and the hero of the story. Han Solo was the cocky scoundrel who shot Greedo first, and Chewbacca was the loyal friend we all wish we had. Princess Leia was the strong woman, fighter, and leader who was probably every fanboy's first celebrity crush, but more importantly, every fangirl's first role model. Even as kids, we could all tell that Han and Leia were going to hook up. I mean, we were young, not blind. And R2 will always be the coolest droid, and 3PO will always be the one you want to shut up and shut down. Star Wars is more than just a movie. It's something we could all get behind. The philosophies of the Jedi and the mysticism of the Force are more than just science fiction mythology. These stories, adventures, and characters have been a part of our lives for the past 40 years and have literally been woven into our culture. Who didn't wish they had a real lightsaber as a kid, or believe in the Force when everyone was telling them it was just in the movies? Watching Star Wars is always a fun nostalgia trip. It takes me back to my childhood and to a galaxy far, far away. And knowing what went on behind the scenes, I appreciate this film even more. Compared to what we have today, the film quality, special effects, props, and sets for Star Wars were crude, if not impressive. These days, such technology and software is available at any computer store. But 1977 was a pioneering time for movie makers. The technology needed to make this movie happen didn't exist in the 70s. I mean, a lot of it had to be created and built from scratch by the special effects teams themselves. And George and the people at Lucasfilm have been doing that ever since. Pushing for, if not creating, the technology needed so that he and other filmmakers can tell their stories. If not for George Lucas and Star Wars, Hollywood wouldn't be what it is today. Star Wars has been seen by millions across the world. I mean, even today, if you haven't seen it, you still know it. And people of my generation are introducing their young children to the original Star Wars. And seeing their reactions on YouTube is priceless. It's an experience I hope to share with the younger generation of my family, just as I did with my nephews. So to wrap this review up, guys, Star Wars is a timeless classic and a childhood favorite. I love this movie and I've been a fan all my life. Thus, I'm giving Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope a Titan rating of 8.5 out of 10. It's not a perfect film, like all Star Wars movies, it has its flaws, but it's a beloved classic all the same. And now, after 40 years, we have new Star Wars movies to enjoy and all new epic adventures to look forward to. I'm Ty McDougall and thanks for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. Share your thoughts in the comment box. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for my review of Episode 5, and I will see you on the next Titan review. May the Force be with you.